I never thought I'd say this, but I think I'm into sports. Yeah, definitely. Athletic bodies being used to perform admirable tasks that we only dream to perform in our wildest fantasies. Such an interesting thing. Sports, whatever the terminology is. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But what a marvelous gift we have created for ourselves. So, who else is watching Heated Rivalry? Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Eric, and today's video is for everyone who likes their with a sprinkle of plot to keep things engaging. We're talking about Heated Rivalry, gay Twitter's new obsession, and honestly, mine too. Heated Rivalry is a gay sports romance television series based on Rachel Reed's Game Changers novel series, and this is filthy. 50 Shades of Grey for hockey fans, but it's only got men doing the nasty, and it was written by a woman. What is happening? Okay, the backstory is simple. Rachel Reed was annoyed at how homophobic hockey can be. She was so mad that there might be closeted ice hockey players out there that she decided to write a gay love story between two closeted hockey players with a lot of I haven't read the books, though now I am incredibly curious, so I don't know how good of an adaptation this actually is. I'm going to assume it's very accurate, and on that basis, Rachel, what's up? This is a lot of being written by a woman. I'm not mad. I'm just curious. So I watched the first 3 episodes, which is all that's out right now. And wow, this is pornography with extra steps. And I love it. I want 10 more seasons of it. Like, it's absolute filth, but it's also very good at being filth. And then everything else around the filth is also really good. Are we allowed to do this? And when I say it's very good at filth, I mean it's very realistic in the intimate scenes that it portrays, the way they talk, the way they move, the sounds. It's just, I don't know who's gonna watch this harder, straight women or gay men. But for now, let's stick to the first half of the season. And while you're at it, subscribe down below, because I'm gonna bring you the rest of the season later. The episode opens with our 2 leads meeting each other. Shane Hollander is our Asian-Canadian hockey player, and Ilya Rozanov is our Russian player. Both players are emerging stars in ice hockey, with some even comparing their ascension to the likes of Tiger Woods and Serena Williams. They are the best in the world. And we're gonna have gay sex. It's cool, it's cool. And the structure of the story is quite specific. Instead of following their lives in conventional storytelling beats, we follow them throughout their meets. Shane Hollander is the captain for the Montreal Metros, and Ilya is the captain for the Boston Raiders, which means they play against each other every so often. We start off in December 2008 at the International Prospect Cup, where fans are hoping for something hot on ice. And we get something hot, just not on ice. On butt, maybe. And the dynamic between these two players develops on 2 ends. In public, the media builds the rivalry between the two. Shane is the perfect athlete, the golden boy, and Ilya is the rebel one who gets under people's skin. 6 minutes in, and we have finally arrived at what brought us all here. Shane is in the gym late at night working out. Ilya joins him, and they end up pushing each other on those bikes. And I've never been happier to look at 2 men just pedaling on a bike in a gym. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I'm very into sports now, like performance. But better than the visuals, it's the audio. Both guys are just panting, pushing themselves, heavy breathing. It's too much. And then this. I saw this image before I even knew the title of the show. It looks like a still from a porn, and honestly, it kind of is. It's just very erotic with very little dialogue. You know, they pass this bottle to each other and their hands touch. Something so beautiful about the subtlety. You know, that's how you build the atmosphere, and the show does a really good job at it. At one point, the tension was ripping me to shreds, and I thought, just fucking do something. But no, not yet. 6 months later, and we're back to the same tournament from the beginning of the episode, but if the previous year Ilya's team won, now Shane's team wins. 6 months after that, and they're now being forced to do photo shoots together to promote their upcoming games. Can we talk about how gay sports are? 2 hot athletes posing for pictures to look intimidating and luring in thousands of male fans to the stadiums, and I'm assuming that most of those fans are heterosexual, and they couldn't come out. The world would be a much better place if men just each other. And then after the photo shoot, we get this diabolical scene. It's in the shower, so bear with. YouTube doesn't like that, but I'm gonna describe it. Shane and Ilya are showering together, and we find out what a butt is supposed to look like. Did you know they can look like that? I saw a few bodybuilders talking about this image, and they weren't happy. They were jealous. Ilya had bodybuilders shaking in their boots. Then Shane's getting dressed and Ilya asks him for his room number while standing shirtless right next to him. Like, this is insane. This is insane, but also kind of exhilarating. I'll say that one of the good things about being in the closet is the danger and the thrill that you get from almost getting caught, or the danger of getting caught. God, gays are so reckless. It's also really funny that straight men exist in these spaces so often. You know, these spaces where they get naked in front of each other and they just talk while swinging. And to come out of that so homophobic is fascinating. Like, it's fascinating because y'all are the most homoerotic people on earth. Straight men. They meet later in Shane's hotel room and they hook up. And the scenes are very elaborate, very intimate. Just gratuitous nudity. What a glorious day. I hope these two men are being paid very well, because they're single-handedly getting the gays through the rest of the year. Well, the gays and the girlies, lest us not forget that this was written by Miss Rachel Reed. Want to talk about it? But the real heroes are whoever wrote this for the screen. The dialogue, the choreography, it's all so dirty and nasty, but also surprisingly realistic. I didn't realize that we were allowed to do all this on screen, but I'm glad we are. They also address masculinity expectations without indulging in the narrative of, you know, bottoming, being more gay, you're less of a man just because you like being pounded. Nope. They address that very briefly, but rest assured, we're all versatile in this series. Okay, we're all fans of both giving and receiving gifts for Christmas. And I think that's healthy and cool and fun, and more on that later. For now, their first encounter has been really charged. 3 months later, and the media keeps fanning the flames of their rivalry. Meanwhile, Shane faces further pressures to be the perfect golden athlete, to nail down a Rolex sponsorship, further reinforcing the notion that coming out would mean the end of their careers. They have another hookup, get even more intimate, and by the end, they finally exchange numbers. They save each other's numbers as girl names and stay in touch so they can plan to once again, this makes sense. You gotta plan these things. And the fact that the series is including these details goes to show that they're not just trying to cater this show for the straights, they're actually taking the time to at least make it believable. Another time jump, and they meet in Las Vegas, but this time tensions from the ice permeate their secret personal relationship. Shane is currently winning in the tournament, and Ilya seems upset. Shane assumes Ilya is a bad sport, but Ilya is dealing with a brother who keeps demanding money and a father who keeps demanding perfection. They argue for real this time, and by the end, Ilya pins Shane against the wall and kisses him, and Shane is really pissed off because they could have gotten caught. So the episode ends in a lover's tiff. And we start episode 2 with the passing of time. We go through several time jumps within the first few minutes, starting in the summer of 2011, all the way to the fall of 2013. It's a lot of time. After their argument in Las Vegas, Shane is keeping his distance, but Ilya is relentless, texting him things like, "Wanna come while you're in Boston?" And yes, the grammar is correct on that one. In the fall of 2012, Ilya sends him a pic. That I definitely can't show. But the show shows it all. It was also circulating on Twitter. It's big. Then in the winter of 2013, Ilya messages Shane, "I'm going to score 9 goals next week." "Why 9?" Shane asks. "Well, 1 for each inch of the you want." Oh my God, Ilya, too much. God, my number is 0. After 4 minutes of runtime, we are finally out of time jumps. It's now been 2 years since they last bumped uglies, and they're about to play each other when Ilya messages Shane. "How many times can you come in 1 hour?" And Shane is less fun. You know, Ilya is constantly trying to tease him and to flirt and to sext him, and Shane is just so up his own ass. And it's quite interesting, the dynamic that they made the Canadian one super rigid with himself and very afraid of getting caught, and they made the Russian the reckless one who don't give two shits. I like it. All this to say that Shane is really bad at sexting, but they do end up meeting after the game. Finally, after 2 years of not bumping uglies, they're about to get nasty. They get down and dirty again. Don't get me wrong. We get more of the same. Ilya once again shows us what a butt looks like. It's so pretty. It's just fascinating how the human body can actually gain those shapes over time. You know, it's interesting. Much to think about. But this time, the nasty they're doing is slower, more controlled, gentler, more romantic. They're bonding. I would venture saying they are finally making love. They are taken turns, I think, which is very healthy and generous. Once again, the series is doing a really good job at balancing the erotic element of the series and the emotional development of their story. It's, again, are we allowed to do this? Jump to winter of 2014, and we're at the Sochi Olympics. Now they're playing against each other, representing their country's teams, and in the world of sports, that shit's serious. Like, sports people take the country's matches and tournaments a lot more serious, I think. Even I get into sports when it's my country playing. That's wild to say. Don't repeat that. Lucky for us, we're not here to watch sports, so we skip through all of that. Russia lost. Ilya is humiliated. He's a national embarrassment for his country. That obviously fucks with him and creates more tension between the two, who wanna bang, but in real life are arch nemesis. We then get a scene of Ilya speaking to his father, and I was really impressed because it's all in Russian, and he's not Russian in real life.
Сейчас я играю лучше, чем когда-либо.
Calling more. I'm not a huge FaceTimer though.
I was shocked after watching 3 episodes. Now, mind you, I don't know anything about Russian. I don't know how it's supposed to sound like, but
Сейчас я играю лучше, чем когда-либо.
doth sound correct to me. Any Russians out there watching my channel, hi, welcome. How was his Russian? I don't know, but it sounds really good. And we find out that Ilya's father is becoming senile, which explains why he wants to succeed so much. He wants to make his father proud while he can still remember his son. We jump to spring of 2014, and Ilya has been having a really good season ever since his loss at the Olympics. And Shane is watching the game at home, and as Ilya wins the tournament, Shane just smiles at the screen. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but are we allowed to do this? Summer of 2014, Las Vegas, Major League Hockey Awards. Ilya and Shane present an award together, the script once again fueling a friendly haha rivalry, but behind the scenes, things are tense and they have a lover's tiff. Shane is pissed that Ilya has been ignoring him for months now and only acknowledges him when there's cameras forcing them to put on a clown show. And Ilya's like, suck my d. And Shane's like, F you, you're unbelievable, you suck my d. And Ilya takes a beat, gets real up and close to Shane, and says, maybe ask nicely. And Shane's already melting. He's absolutely dripping. There is currently a puddle where they're standing. Shane, get a hold of yourself. Because all he says is,
Please.
and Ilya says, if you want me to get on my knees on this filthy bathroom floor, you will have to ask nicer than that. Oh my God, just go to a hotel room and Ilya ends up winning the award, so we know who's pitching and who's catching later. And this one gets nasty. Like, this one has kinks and fantasies, and it gets a bit 365 days, remember that. But like, done better, classier, hotter, just generally good. But by the end, things are tense again. Shane tries making small talk, but Ilya seems distant, and I just want to know who thought this was okay. First his cheeks and now this. What are we trying to do to society? Are we trying to collapse the community? Are we supposed to listen to what they're saying while this is on screen? I mean, at this point, who cares what they're saying? You know, they could mute the scene, just play Taylor Swift in the background even. I don't care. This is outrageous. Then the episode ends with Shane leaving a very cold and distant Ilya. He then ponders texting him, clearly heartbroken, but decides against it, and the episode ends. Well, now we're not winning anymore, because now the gay smut show is making me sad. And then the show does something really nasty, and we ditch Ilya and Shane completely, and we swap to a different hockey player. There's more, guys. There's more closeted men out there. Who knew? We go back to the Olympics of 2014. And episode 3 starts with a scene that we saw earlier in episode 2, a teammate of Shane making a comment about it being unsafe for gay people where they are, except this time, instead of watching Shane's reaction, we see this other guy's. His name is Scott Hunter, and he plays with Shane in the Montreal Metros. And we go back to 4 months prior, and the gay smut show is now a gay love show. These names are terrible. Scott Hunter is an American hockey player who is in a bit of a rut. His performance at the games just hasn't been good. His mind seems cloudy, and we know that it's because he's closeted, because we're watching Heated Rivalry, and this is where men f each other. But in this universe, he's just an athlete going through a tough time. You know, hockey fans and sports fans alike, globally, if y'all are less homophobic and allow the players to come out as whatever they are and whatever they like doing, maybe they'll play better, and then your teams will perform better at the tournaments, and then you don't have to throw so many tantrums when your team loses a game and ruin public property. It's terrible. One day he wanders into a coffee shop and has a meet cute with barista Christopher, a supposed college student, art history major, who looks like he does professional CrossFit for a living. and we're supposed to be okay with this because they're both super hot. And honestly, yeah, whatever. I don't care. They flirt a lot. There's a lot of staring, swooning, sweat, smiles. It feels invasive to be watching almost. Like they're just talking about a smoothie, but it sounds like they're fingering each other. Scott gives him a big tip, and on his way out, Christopher finds out that he is a professional hockey player. Girl. And of course, he gathers his best friends to go watch his game later that night. Except this time, Scott plays really, really well. I wonder what changed. I know what changed. He got a smoothie from a cute barista. So the next day, Scott goes back to the coffee shop and he's like, well, I don't like changing anything when something goes well. And, you know, it went well, so I'm gonna have another smoothie before my game. And Kip's like, ooh. And we're like, yee.
This is awesome.
On their third encounter, before another big game, Scott returns to the coffee shop. This time they flirt more because Christopher gives him a smoothie on the house and Scott stays inside to go through emails and then talks about how he's too lazy to be a serial killer and Christopher doesn't run because Scott is really hot. So like, it's interesting seeing people flirt because hot people can get away with a lot of creepy stuff. Yeah. Fast forward a little and they run into each other again at an event that Kip is working at and Scott is attending. And at this point, the tension is like palpably uncomfortable. Like they're talking to each other, but it sounds like they want to be inside each other. So Scott asks Kip out after the event to go for a bite. And it's so late that they end up having to go back to Scott's place. And instead of a house tour, they get nasty. The gay smut show is back. It's not as explicit. But we do see a few things. First of all, these men are both incredibly toned, muscular, just insane. Scott, we can understand, he's an athlete. Kip, no reason why they had to cast a CrossFit athlete to play a college student art history major? Come on! It's less erotic, more intimate, but still very filthy. And then in the middle of the night, Kip tries leaving, and Scott wakes up and he's like, where are you going? And Kip's like, well, you have a game. I didn't want to bother you. And Scott's like, please, can you stay? And Kip's like, yeah, of course, I'll stay. And then they kiss and they make out and they sleep together. And then Scott wakes up with Kip making him a smoothie. Y'all need to calm down. Slow your horses. But no, instead of slowing their horses, they go faster. Scott pours his heart out to Skip. I keep calling him Skip. My dog's name is Skip. His name is Kip. So Scott pours his heart out to Kip. He explains that his life is complicated. He doesn't get to date or take people home or be public with his private life really, but he really likes Kip. He really wants him. And he would love it if Kip was home later that day when he comes home from his practice. And it's really sweet. You know, obviously Skip is in a very complicated situation in his life where his career really does demand him to be in the closet and not be able to have a public life, really, outside of the four walls of his apartment. That said, it's still creepy, because it's only been like one night stand, really. Let's ignore Scott's appearance for a moment and just replace him with the concept of a man saying this after a one night stand. You know, he's basically pouring his heart out, and all that's left for him to say is I'm in love with you, Kip. Move in with me and put a ring on that finger so everybody knows that you're mine. And what do you know? Kip is all for it. He's like, I would love that. I would love that, Scott. And then Scott's like, can I f you? And Kip's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, in the morning. These kids are brave. Yeah, and for the next portion of the episode, they continue this arrangement. They live together and get to be together at home. And then in public, they know each other from the coffee shop as barista and customer. But things have gotten tough. Their arrangement is taking its toll on Kip, who is doing his best to stay happy being a secret. But Elena sees how miserable he is and she steps in and speaks to Scott. And she does that in a very respectful way where she tells him that she knows Kip is going to go above and beyond always to make him happy because he likes Scott so much. But she can also see the toll that it's taking on Kip and tells Scott that Kip deserves the best. But then leans in, and this was my favorite part, she leans in and says, and so do you. And that really hit because, sure, Elena is obviously prioritizing the well-being of her best friend and she's sticking up for him. But at the same time, she's recognizing that Scott is in a really tough position. It's not like he's choosing to keep Kip a secret just because he's afraid of being disowned by his family. It's literally his livelihood. A lot of people depend on him. A lot of people have jobs because of Scott. So Elena's coming at it from a place of, listen, like, I understand that it's tough, but this can't keep going because both of you are unhappy. And it's a real shame because you have Ilya, Shane, and Scott. They're three of the best players in the entire world. They're all bumming each other. And if the entire world knew, and if they knew how much better they get at the sport when they're allowed to bum each other freely, you know what I mean? Again, sports fans, let your athletes be gay. Let them do whatever they want. They will play better. But by the end of the episode, Kip and Scott are in a tough situation. Kip has a birthday coming up. He's also not been seeing his father that often. And fortunately, Scott can't really have a public life at all. And they kind of end the episode apart. They kind of break it off. And while Kip is enjoying his birthday celebration with a few friends at the bar, Scott is outside looking in, unable to go in because that would out him. And though my first reaction was that of frustration at both of these characters, I thought Scott is being way too paranoid, but also Kip is being way too annoying. First, it's only been 2 months. Y'all have been dating for 2 months. Sure, you're living together, but have a separate life outside of the house. Is that such a foreign concept that you have to take your boyfriend everywhere? You can just exist and then be I don't know, for longer than 2 months at least, see if you really like each other enough to put at risk his entire career. But it's 2 months, chill. But also Scott, a little too paranoid. You can have friends outside of your job that are gay. Doesn't mean that you're going to be gay by association. But then thinking about it, when you're in the closet and you're afraid of being found out, the paranoia really sets in and it takes over everything that you do. Suddenly, everything becomes about, can they tell? The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you move your hands, the way you dress, who you talk to, how long you talk to them for, who you hang out, the places you visit. Everything becomes about being as masculine and as straight acting as possible. And the smallest thing is enough to put the whole empire at risk, or at least mentally it is. It really fucks with you. So I understand Scott's paranoia completely. I don't necessarily understand why Kip was so desperate for him to go to his birthday party. Again, you've been dating for 2 months. Very early days. Very early days. But, alas, they go all in or all out. Also, they're both verse, which is so beautiful. Everyone is verse in this show. That's probably the most unrealistic thing, right? Am I right, guys? And that's it for all we have the first half of the season. Damn it. Went into this expecting sad, came out of it with and sadness. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe down below. I will be doing an end of season recap of the rest of the season. Now we gotta know who ends up with who. Also, if you've read the books, are they worth it? How faithful of an adaptation is the series? And can we expect the same nasty in the books, or was this just an addition for the TV show? Let me know, because I'm curious. I don't want to read a series of books if it's not going to be And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys. Yes, I still have one somewhere.